After Office 2003, Microsoft has entirely changed the user interface in the newer versions, especially in Office 2013 and Office 2016. The new ribbon interface is entirely redesigned according to user requirements. For instance, if you are working on a smaller screen, and need more space on your screen while entering the data, then you can temporarily hide the ribbon. Like, if Home is currently the selected menu, then double-click the Home tab, and the entire ribbon interface will temporarily hide. If you need to use a command from any of the menu, then click the menu, and then click the corresponding command button, and as soon as you will click inside the worksheet or document, it will again automatically hide. If you need to fix the ribbon again permanently, as it was before, then just double-click on the selected menu name. So this feature comes to handy when working on small screen devices, like mobiles or tablets. One more thing that you may have noticed from previous versions that many of the unnecessary menu commands and toolbars has been removed, and they only appear when you select a certain set of data. Like, if I select the following picture, only then the Format menu will appear in the ribbon, which also will only have pictures-related commands, and this applies to many other contents like, if I select a chart from the worksheet, then you will see Design and Format menu in the ribbon. And if you are working inside a table in a Word document, then you will have a Design and Layout menu in the ribbon. So this makes it easy to find the corresponding commands easily, instead of searching them in different menus. Above the ribbon, you will find a toolbar with a few default buttons, like Save, Undo and Redo. It is called the Quick Access Toolbar. If you remembered that in older versions of Office, the most useful commands were available in toolbars only, like Standard Toolbar, Formatting Toolbar and Drawing Toolbar, and for rest of the commands, there were separate menus like File, Edit, Format and so on. Now with new interface, you only have one toolbar by default, which is Quick Access. However, you can customize this toolbar and can add or remove most used commands. To do this, click the Customize Quick Access Toolbar drop-down button, and make a check mark on most used commands like New, Open and Print Preview. You can also add any of Microsoft Excel command in Quick Access Toolbar, by clicking on More Commands. Here you can search for your favorite commands either in Popular Commands list or you can add commands from any of Excel's menu tabs. Select a command and click the Add button. You can also remove any command from the Quick Access Toolbar by selecting the command from the right side pane, and then click Remove. Once you are done adding or removing commands, click the OK button to save the changes. You can also place the Quick Access Toolbar either on the top of the ribbon, or below the ribbon. You can also customize the Quick Access Toolbar using the same method for other Office applications like Microsoft Word and PowerPoint. In Excel, then you have the formula bar below the ribbon. The formula bar not only relates to Excel formulas, but it also has comprehensive meaning as well. For instance, in this worksheet the current active cell is E4, and you can see the same in the name box alongside the formula bar. If I type something in here, you can also see the same contents in the formula bar as well. So formula bar represents the value of the active cell. Like, if I select any other cell either from the mouse or using arrow keys from the keyboard, you can see the active cell contents on the formula bar as well. But if I move the cursor to the cell which consists formula, like in this worksheet I move the cursor to the cell E16, which has a value of 37,015. But what here important to look at is the cell E16 showing you the value, whereas in the formula bar, Excel indicates that values are coming out from a formula. So it is important for you to keep an eye on the active cell, that either it is a value, or it is a result from a formula. More importantly, if you don't see a formula bar below the ribbon, then make sure to check Formula Bar option from the View menu. The Excel files are called workbooks, and an Excel workbook could consist of one or more worksheets. In Excel 2013 and 2016, by default there is only one worksheet for every new file or workbook that you create. Each Microsoft Excel worksheet consists of columns and rows. The alphabet letters A, B, C, and so on represents the column headings, whereas the left side numbers represent the row number. These column letters and row numbers are used to identify the cells, are called cell references. For instance, the current selected cell in this worksheet is E16, and how you can identify this is by seeing the column heading, which in this case is E, and the row number, which is for now is 16. If you also check the formula of the active cell, then you can see that I am using cell references in the formula, not the values. As the current formula depicts the sum of the values of other three cells from the same worksheet, but instead of typing the values in formula, I used their cell references. This is because, if later I change the value of any given cells, then the result in the cell E16 will automatically be updated, because I have not assigned a fixed value in the formula. Instead I command Excel to always pick the updated values directly from the given cells. So if the values get updated in those cells, then the output in the current formula cell will also be updated. You can add more worksheets to your current Excel workbook by clicking the plus sign alongside the sheet names. Creating separate worksheets in the same workbook or file helps you to work more efficiently when you are working on a project and needs to create several reports on separate pages. So, instead of creating separate files for the different reports for the same project, you can add additional worksheets in the same workbook. At the very bottom of the worksheet, below the worksheet tabs, you have the status bar. The status bar, which is already having a default indicator of ready, shows you different indicators as you work with your worksheet. For instance, as I select the values from the column E, you can see that Excel is quickly showing the average, sum, minimum and maximum values from the selected cells. This really comes to handy when you don't want to type a formula but just want to have an assumption of the selected values. You can also customize the status bar and can configure that, what you want to see, and what not. To do this, right-click on an empty area of the status bar, and there you have a list of things that you can enable or disable. Like, you might want to count the numbers of selected values, then you can make a check mark on count, or if you would like to see the status of toggle keys like caps lock, num lock and scroll lock, then you can make a check mark on them respectively. And the indicators for those keys will appear right in the status bar. So this was a quick overview about Microsoft Excel interface. If you like this video then do share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and do subscribe to our channel for more upcoming videos. Bye for now, and take care.